I'm going to find a new gen from non-league English football and do the unthinkable. I'm going to agent this player from non-league football throughout his career, and we're going to try and help him lift a Ballon d'Or trophy. Is it possible, you ask? Well, typically, players from non-league are not that good, so we've brought in a little assistance. This is the non-league to Ballon d'Or wheel, which we will spin every 2 seasons to help our non-league new gen. So strap in and press that subscribe button, because I think I have found the perfect candidate after just 1 season. Yes, potentially my favourite types of videos, the agent videos where we try and win the Ballon d'Or. They're always really difficult. I always get really frustrated with the game, but I still have a lot of fun, and I know you really enjoy watching them. And today we've got a very different scenario. I have gone a year into the future. I have gone to my player search, and I have I've put in 2 different things. I have put in the age, because again we're looking for a new gen. We're going to try and take a new gen from the non-league to the Ballon d'Or, hopefully. And of course I've selected the Vanarama National League North-South. We're going even further, actually, than the Vanarama National League. We're going even further down to find a player that could potentially be a Ballon d'Or winner. And there's already one at the top that's really standing out. Now, we are using the OPZ Elite Blackout version. This is the new skin for a very good reason. 1, it looks quite nice, but 2, the added benefits that comes with this skin. Now, before I click on David Noonan, because I think he is going to be the guy, I've had a peek at him already, I think that's the guy we're going to go with. Duncan Barkley, for example, was another option if we wanted to go down the goalkeeping route. Don't get me wrong, there's quite a lot of options for us if we did want to do it, and I'm actually kind of curious to see how Duncan Barkley's going to do. I might actually stick him on the shortlist as well, just to see how he does. But the reason why I like this skin, not only does it look good, but on the right-hand side here, we have an hidden attributes, because I've got the editor turned on to make all the changes. We have an hidden attributes tab, and it tells us the current ability, the potential ability, and his general hidden attributes, including professionalism. We can see 11 down there, so maybe he won't be as good at that. But, I mean, David Noonan, who is on this, and when I clicked, I thought 154 is a bit of a high potential for a Vanarama National League North or South at Farnborough United. Or is it? I don't know whether it's just Farnborough. They're at Vanarama National League South. So, Farnborough Football Club, David Noonan, great name. Oh, and he's got a monobrow. I didn't see that the first time I looked. I was too busy looking at his attributes. But he's a centre midfielder who can also play on the wing, who can also play at centre defensive midfielder. His attributes look really good. Natural fitness worries me. 8 is a natural fitness. That is quite low. But starting attributes, 18 determination, 17 teamwork, and 18 bravery is decent. He's 6'3". He's only 15. I think this could be our guy. Now, he obviously has a potential ability of 154. It probably won't stay that way thanks to the wheel, but that's high already. What I really like is his hidden attributes in the general tab here. So we've got ambition is fairly standard. Loyalty of 12, that's not bad. Pressure of 17. I believe that's how they deal with pressure. Professionalism is 13, but I've already got something for that covered on the wheel anyway. Temperament of 19, I think that's a good thing. And important matches is 15 as well, with low injury proneness. Now, consistency is the biggest thing here. It's down to 6. That's going to be a problem. What I might do is add something for that on the wheel, because the wheel is here to help us this time round. It's not to stop us from winning the Ballon d'Or. We're trying to take a player here from Farnborough to win the Ballon d'Or. So I think this is a guy. I think we add this guy to the shortlist, and we spin the wheel for the very first time, because we're only going to do it every other season. Okay, so here is our spinning wheel, and I have added one more, which is the maximum consistency. The rest of it I had already done before I'd even simulated to find a player, and they're all quite good. They're obviously all positive stuff. We actually have 3 of the add 20 potential ability. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to shuffle them all around, so it all looks a little bit different now, and we can land on, and they're all clumped together depending on when I've typed them. So the potential ability that Avi obviously has is in the 150s. With this, we could get to maximum 200, hopefully in a good enough time, because that's going to be the downside. With us only spinning the wheel every other year, we've got 20 seasons to do this. until he's 35. I mean, I'm glad, because maximum reputation would be awful for a player who is that bad to begin with straight away. Add 20 potential ability from the off is very good indeed. So, David Noonan, before we follow your career quite, well, obviously very intently, and we're going to decide where he's going to go, etc., we need to obviously look at his potential ability. 154. We are changing that to 174 straight away. But, of course, he is at Farnborough right now, so we can't guarantee that he is going to be there. And he is wanted already by Crawley Town and Tranmere. Do you know what? For this first season, obviously what I usually do is I make them move, or I allow them to move if there is actual active interest, which there is here. Both of these clubs are fairly good and in League 2. I think if Farnborough are smart, they would use him anyway because he is their hot prospect. I think he would play. So I'm actually just going to allow things to play out in this first couple of years. Then we can really dive down into the agent side of it, determine whether we want to move him, etc. Because right now, I think he's got everything that could potentially be great and maybe win a Ballon d'Or. I don't know. From the Vanarama National League North. That's really good. So let's go 2 years into the future. It was only, in fact, just half a season before David Noonan moved to Cardiff City, and actually, for 1.2k, I feel like Farnborough has really been screwed over there. Cardiff were currently playing in the Sky Bet Championship, which was a big upgrade from where he was originally playing, but they aren't exactly doing very well there. Our guy David Noonan, of course, is in the youth team, so it's not too much of a worry, but they've been absolutely battered this season, Cardiff, in their first team, and have found themselves being relegated into Sky Bet League 1. But Noonan can be happy though. He's developing quite well despite being in the under 18s, and appearance wise, although he isn't making any first team appearances, he has played 50 total appearances for the youth academy, and he's got 6 assists this season and 1 player of the match. And if you thought Cardiff would bounce back after their relegation down into Sky Bet League 1 with another promotion, well then you would be wrong, because they only managed to clock up a mid-table finish down in 14th place. They were never even anywhere close to the playoffs. Now David is only 17 years old still, so we don't really have to worry too much that he's not getting into the first team just yet. The best thing for him is, of course, youth football, or if he does manage to get a loan deal at a lower stage and play first team football there, because he's not ready to play in this standard of football just yet. He's still only got 85 current ability, but of course with that 174 potential ability, there is still a little bit of growth nonetheless, which is great. You can see a lot of the physicals have now gone up into double figures compared to where they were last time. But this season, I know it should have upgraded. I don't know why it hasn't, but he's played 40 appearances for the youth team. He's got 11 assists and a goal as well, 2 player of the match. And it's time to spin the wheel because we're in our second season. So really, off the top of my head, obviously adding an extra 20 potential ability is always going to be great for us. Add a couple of attributes, the add 5 to 5 attributes whenever we get that is going to be good, to be honest. Add in the maximum professionalism, is going to be a game changer because he's only at 13 right now. We could do with that being higher, but what is the wheel it's going to give it to us, isn't it? Oh, is it? No! Right on the cusp of it, but we get that extra 20 player ability or potential ability, which means he does go to what, 174 up to 194? Wow. So we've got 3 of these because I thought, being a non-league player, we would get somebody with a maximum potential, of about 130. So given that he's already given us 150 as a base, hey, we are laughing right now. Let's add it onto it. All right, so he goes from 174, and now he is going to go up to 194. So he could arguably be one of the highest reputation players in the game right now. By the way, we did put the other guy, the goalkeeper that we mentioned, on our shortlist too, and he's currently at Rotherham. So I don't think he's actually getting any game time either. Oh, he did. Yeah, last season he actually played 3 appearances, but he did concede 7 goals. So probably the reason why they didn't play him anywhere else. But £625 they cost him. Anyway, back to David. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much game time this season, and because obviously his potential is going up, he could be wanted at some point. That's when we can make a decision about potentially moving club. Off the back of those really good youth performances, he made 6 appearances in Sky Bet League 1 this season and actually managed to pick himself up a goal as well. And it was a good season for Cardiff, who got themselves promoted through the playoffs after going to the final and beating Reading at Wembley. But after that one season, before we come back, David Noonan is already wanted, and some good performances obviously in the first team. We can see that a lot of clubs have active interest in loaning him for next season, and I think that's going to be a good idea. And after assessing the clubs that was interested in David, I decided to send him out to Dorking Wanderers, of course, led by the legendary Mark White. This season, they were really unlucky. They just missed out in promotion, so adding David Noonan to their team might just help them get over the line next season. Unfortunately, though, it seemed like he didn't make much of an impact as they finished down in 10th place this season. He played most of the time in the regista role, and he did score 4 goals in 41 games and picked up 3 assists, though. Now, it does seem like he did pick up a bit of growth. He's gone up to 102 current ability, but, of course, statistics, not great. Not great at all. 4 goals, 3 assists in a division which I thought he'd be playing a lot better in. His average rating was only 6.95. We was hoping for a little bit better from David, I must be honest, but he is now 19 years of age. He's going into his 20s next season. Well, actually, this season, because he's born in August. So I think he needs to start stepping up. You can see he's picked up some player traits as well. I'm not quite sure whether they're there before. Curls ball, looks for pass, rather than attempt to score, and does not dive into tackles. And yeah, there is a little bit of growth. But I think we now need to spin the wheel, and hopefully we can continue that growth and push something on so that he starts more games for Cardiff this season. And so we're back to the wheel. I'm not quite sure what I would prefer exactly for this one, but let's just see how this one plays out. Actually, I do know. It would have been this. Maximum professionalism. Now, of course, in case you've been living under a rock, that is perfect for player growth. And that's because the professionalism down here, his main job is to see how he acts within training and obviously game time. But the professionalism has kind of been proved as sort of the be-all and end-all when it comes to player development. Now, maximum professionalism is 20, which is great. So as long as he's getting game time, we should see him skyrocket in the next couple of years. But that's the key thing. He needs the game time. Having maximum professionalism can work if he is playing youth football, but when he comes back to Cardiff, I don't think he'll be starting many games. I think his game time might be quite limited. Potentially, we might have to source another loan deal, but hopefully, fingers crossed, he can break into that first team. Well, Cardiff, once again, made a great decision, and they loaned him out to Bristol Rovers. Now, Bristol Rovers was playing in the EFL League 2, and he actually had an okay amount of games, but again, statistically, wasn't exactly putting up numbers with no goals and just the 1 assist. However, the following season was spent at Cardiff City in the first team, and you can see already the development is definitely there, and in the current ability, he now has 128, which is not bad at all. And that's because he played 33 games in the Sky Bet Championship. He did only pick up 1 goal and 2 assists, but that's still a lot more positive, the fact that he was actually given a lot of game time. Now, Cardiff themselves finished just above the relegation zone with 49 points, so they will be playing in that division next season as well. But of course, we first got to spin the wheel again. Now, the professionalism was, I think, probably one of the best things to get earlier on, so that's fantastic. Now we can kind of, I don't know, adding the attributes be quite good. This one, however, I was hoping for later on, because this one can be affected as the game goes on. Giving him maximum reputation is something we ideally would have wanted when he's in his late 20s to potentially give him a chance at winning the Ballon d'Or. So, we'll add the reputation, don't get me wrong, but reluctantly, I guess. Okay, so if we're looking at his reputation now, it's probably not going to be that high, if at all. In fact, it's 1 star, which is just fairly good. So, going about it, current reputation is 5,344. The maximum you can get is 10,000. 10,000 reputation does suggest that, obviously, they are the most popular player in the world. So, he is now going to become the most popular player in the world, and he's not very good at all. So let's just say he's a celebrity for another reason. Maybe he's side hustle as an actor, or potentially he is just married the most famous woman in the world.
That was a lie.
He is Sydney Sweeney's new husband. He's 21, 6'3". He's got a monobrow. I heard that is exactly what she is looking for. In terms of on the pitch, he's not amazing just yet. The media description, and this is all down to that reputation, define him as a world-class midfielder. So you can see how this game can be manipulated in ways in which it shouldn't. And so David Noonan Sweeney, as we are now calling him, continued his reign at Cardiff, and he did start to progress as well, putting in a good next season with 3 goals and 4 assists. However, in the championship itself, Cardiff kind of stagnated and stayed in 16th place. However, the following season, Noonan Sweeney was out with a damaged cruciate ligament, which put him out for exactly 6 months. And this definitely hindered his development. He's now 23 years of age. He's only gone up to 145 current ability, which is only 5 more than what we left him on last season. Cardiff actually found themselves still in the playoff despite Noonan Sweeney's missing 6 months, but unfortunately in the semi-finals they come up against West Brom and lost on penalties. Bit of a strange couple of years then for the world's most famous player, so we've got to spin the wheel again. After 6 months out, he has made his return, so next season, hopefully, we avoid any injuries just like that. These things happen in football. So, let's see what we will be gifting him with this season. Please stay there, please stay there. Yes! Upgrade all physicals by 3. This is massive. We know how good physicals are in the game. This, I believe, is going to take him to the next level. So right now, we are looking at most of his physicals around about 13, 14. Obviously, jumping reach has actually gone up to 16 because he's quite tall. He's very suited for a defensive midfielder or even a centre-back, which, by the looks of it, somebody has tried to play him in that. So let's see what he looks like with 3+ physicals on every single attribute. Now, this has actually bumped him up to what should be 160 current ability, so we'll also do that because else it will just drop automatically anyway. So now we're looking at 160 current ability player, and let me tell you, that's way too good for Cardiff. He was already their key player. So I think David Noonan Sweeney is going to have to start looking for a new club because, oh boy, does he look absolutely phenomenal now. It's amazing what physical attributes really does in the game and how much it makes a player's attribute picture look better, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be... and his player style's actually turned to physical now, which... kind of ironic. Now he kind of is close to a world-class midfielder. I mean, I wouldn't say he's still world-class, 160 current ability. Not really world-class. That's sort of elite level. Really, you're looking at like the 180, 190 before you get to world-class. But with his maximum professionalism, with his unbelievable physical attributes, right now he is actually wanted by a fair amount of clubs. I think it's time to move him. We've got 2 active interests there from 2 Premier League clubs. He should go into either of them. So Crystal Palace this season finished in 13th place. Their manager's actually Scott Parker, which in the game isn't too bad. And they're playing 3 centre midfielders. By the looks of it, he should get in. That Pepe looks quite good, though, doesn't he? He looks very good. Brennan Aronson, I'd imagine, yeah, he's better than him. And Decore, who's probably quite old now. 32, actually. That's... I just checked Decore, isn't he? Not that old, actually, at all. I think he'd nestle in there quite nicely in Crystal Palace's team. What about West Ham? Now, West Ham's an interesting one because they have a higher reputation, I'd imagine, in terms of the club. They've got Chris Garton as their manager. Not a bad manager. His favoured formation, though, is a 4-4-2. Are they playing that? They are. They've got Aymar in there in that centre mid. He's not bad. Oswald, though... he's all right as well. I actually think, and they finish in 14th, I think Crystal Palace is a better club for him to go to at this point in his career. We could wait another season, just let it play out, because I imagine now he's that good, one of the big clubs will come into him, but there's no guarantee he will play. I think we make the move now, and we move him to Crystal Palace. So, currently his valuation's 32 to 97 million. Let's be generous to Cardiff, and we'll give them Let's just say £50 million. Now, Crystal Palace might not have £50 million in there, but this is the benefits of what we are doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That makes, of course, £50 million. He's going to transfer straight away. So immediately he goes into Crystal Palace's team. He is still not their key player. Now, Pepe, his current ability is 153. He should be better than him eventually. So, next season at Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, it's going to be an exciting time for David Noonan-Sweeney. It was indeed, and in one season, David Noonan-Sweeney carried on developing and took himself to 170 current ability with a 4-goal, 2 assists and a very good average rating season at Crystal Palace, instantly becoming their main key player in a season where unfortunately they finished down in 11th place and replaced their manager Scott Parker with Liam Manning, but that's okay. He still plays a 4-2-3-1 and was still adapting David Noonan-Sweeney into the lineup. So this puts him in good stead going into his second season in the Premier League. Well, the following season was another disappointing one for Crystal Palace, who landed themselves down in 12th place. But David Noonan-Sweeney was still there, and Liam Manning was also still there, the manager. But it isn't going to be for long, I don't think, for Noonan-Sweeney, because currently he is requesting a transfer for £117 million, and he's also wanted by Manchester City, who, by the way, has not won the Premier League in a long time. They're currently down in 5th place, haven't won the Premier League in nearly 7 seasons, so they are needing somebody like Noonan-Sweeney, especially when they have the 2 top scorers in the league, especially when they have the 2 highest assisters in the league. How are they still not anywhere close to the actual title? Okay, so I'm still debating whether to make that move to Manchester City. I think it kind of makes sense to do it, but I'm going to have a look at see how they've been doing in other competitions. But it is time to spin the wheel first. David Noonan-Sweeney is roughly about 175, 180 current ability now, so a lot of these might not make too much of a difference. One of them is a choose a loan, which, yeah, let's be honest, that ain't going to do anything. Obviously, add 20 player potential ability. He's already at 194. Maximum consistency, what it's on right now, is great. Adding 5 to 5 attributes, I think, is the best at this point. And adding another extra natural position could be a game changer, because that means I can put him as an attacking midfielder. So let's spin the wheel. Let's hope for one of those 2 for this time round. I think it's going to be, there we go, adding an extra natural position. Yes, I think definitely, looking at his attributes right now, that attacking midfielder position is the way to go. Should also be said, we are now looking at a England international. He's played 19 caps with 1 goal already. And his reputation has gone down a little bit, considering obviously we made him a maximum reputation player, but he's still around the 9,800 in terms of world reputation. So he's still one of the most famous players in the world. So, yeah, looking at this, right now, obviously, he doesn't have the finishing ability or the dribbling that you would naturally want a attacking midfielder to have, but also, I mean, we're not going to make him a natural centre-back or a natural winger because he's even worse at them. So I think it makes sense. He's in the position where he is going to be, but I think it makes sense right now, if we have to add another position, it is going to be in that attacking midfielder position. So attacking midfielder right now, he's never played it before in his life. Now he is a natural in that position, and some of them he is very good at. If we're looking at right here an advanced playmaker, I think he actually is a really good advanced playmaker. So if a club, which they tend to do, the AI tend to play a lot of attacking playmaking places, so an advanced playmaker, he would be perfect for that and arguably one of the best in the world at that position. If you're looking at more of an attacking midfielder, he isn't too bad either. But when you're looking at like shadow strikers, not so much because of that finishing ability. Everywhere else actually kind of suits it. So mainly it's just the finishing ability. So if we do get that other one, we can look to adapt that. Now the big question, do we move to Manchester City? I think we do. I think we do. And if we're looking at Manchester City's team, obviously it's active interest. If we're looking at Manchester City's team, Erling Haaland's on the way out, but they've got Endrick, I think, as a striker. They are currently only playing a 4-4-2, though. That does worry me, because Tchouaméni and Pedri is in there. They don't actually have a manager either, so that actually might change. I think I'm going to go a little bit further and see whether they have, when they bring in a manager, whether it is somebody who will be playing either an attacking midfielder or 3 in midfield so that he's guaranteed to play every single game. Right, it just flashed up the new manager of Manchester City, and they are still wanting him. He's very unhappy now. It's only gone down to rumoured interest now. Which means I actively cannot change it. But Thiago Motta has come in and he enjoys a 4-2-3-1, so that would be the perfect option for us. He's a good manager on the game as well, if you can see his attributes there. Very good manager on the game. But that sucks. It is now dropped down to just only an active interest. I think we just leave it for a season, come back and see what happens from that. Well, Crystal Palace went into that season and actually had a much better time, finishing in 8th place and gained European qualification for next year. However, even though Liam Manning stuck around, somebody didn't. Yes, David Noonan-Sweeney has moved club, but not to Manchester City. In fact, he moved to Bayern Munich for £117 million in the January of that season. After playing the first 19 games for Crystal Palace, not exactly lighting the world on fire, he then played 15 games with 14 starts, with 2 goals and 2 assists, with a much higher average rating. And Bayern Munich, of course, led by Mikel Arteta, won the Bundesliga that season as well, meaning he gained his first proper trophy in world football. And this could be a positive sign. Looking at the Ballon d'Or winners of the last few years, we've got Yeremy Pino, who is the current winner at Tottenham Hotspur. In 3rd place is Bayern Munich's Jamal Musiala. Noonan-Sweeney became one of Bayern Munich's best players this season as well, when he finally managed to get a full season under his belt. He tended to play quite a lot in the centre of midfield in the Musiala role, and not only did he pick up a lot of goals, but also quite a lot of assists this season as well. And with Bayern Munich winning the Bundesliga again by 7 points, David Noonan-Sweeney had the most assists that season and was in the top 4 for the highest average rating. The guy is now at 182 current ability, and he looks very good in a Bayern Munich shirt. Now, tactically, he has been playing in a number of different positions, including the centre midfield, but also the defensive midfield when he needs to jump in there as well. All right, this is lots of positives then. We've got 2 back-to-back Bundesligas. He's actually finished in the UEFA Nations League runners-up with England as well. I think we're going to have to start checking his overall milestones going forward, because it looks like he could be winning a lot of trophies, and you just never know what season that means he could potentially win a Ballon d'Or. He's 27 now. This is prime years for David Noonan-Sweeney. We need to make sure that the next pull on the wheel is a good one. Now, there's only 4 left, but of course, we can't spin the wheel again for another 2 years. Choosing alone might not be great. Maximum consistency or add 5 attributes, I think, is the 2 best that we could potentially get. Adding 20 potential ability just means it will go up to 200, which 194 to 200 isn't that much different. So, what are we going to get? It looks like it could be, and it is, add 5 to 5 attributes. This is arguably one of the best spins on the wheel that we had, and we've just got the prime time to get it. Now, to be honest, obviously, he's already at 182, so we're not really looking at many weaknesses in his game, but there are definitely some in the technical ability. I think that's really where we got to put our focus in for at least 3, maybe even 4. And outside of that, possibly look at things like work rate, maybe aggression, maybe off the ball. Outside of that, I don't think we really need to touch the physicals. Physicals are solid. They look really good. So yeah, I'm going to have a quick look, a little bruise around to see which ones I think we need to be changing and adding 5 attribute points to. Okay, I've changed the 5 different attributes, and he looks just unbelievable. So, what we have now is 17 for dribbling. We also have 11 for finishing. That was really low, wasn't it? Down at like 6. I've also added 5 for the heading. That was down at 9. And you might have seen previously, Crystal Palace was using him at near posts because he's 6'3" with 19 jump and reach. Now that he has 14 for heading, he might actually be even more dangerous from set pieces. We have already got good passing ability, but we sucked in terms of tackling. It was down at 11, so we've added 16 there. That's 4 straight away. And it was a hard decision on then what should be the final one to make it 5. I was contemplating with either of these, to be honest. Any one of them could have been great, but I ended up going with work rate. Just for the simple fact that he is in midfield, I think work rate obviously helps in all aspects and not just like one attribute, because work rate kind of is like, I don't know, an overall thing that he will perform better. That's kind of my thinking when I'm going that. So now he looks fantastic, but we have to change his recommended current ability, or his current ability to his recommended, because else he will lose those attributes. So we now have to put him up to 189, which means he is only 5 away from his maximum potential of 194. Good luck, David Noonan-Sweeney, on your next 2 years, because it could be 2 very good years that we could potentially be lifting some more silverware, maybe even the Ballon d'Or. Speaking of the Ballon d'Or, Florian Wirtz was the next winner. He was playing at Inter Milan, as was the second place, with Max Downham of Arsenal finishing in 3rd. So it was up to David Noonan-Sweeney to put himself in contention. He had to have a good season with Bayern Munich and hopefully can pick up a few more trophies. And although he had his best season yet in just 29 games, getting 10 goals, 11 assists and 5 player of the matches with the highest average rating yet, Bayern Munich didn't exactly do that well in other competitions. They're still the Bundesliga champions, but they unfortunately did not win anything else this season. They were champions by quite a lot. David Noonan-Sweeney appeared in quite a lot of the actual player ratings as well, but unfortunately, I don't think that's justified to even be shortlisted for a Ballon d'Or this season. Apparently, though, that statement is 100% incorrect, because David Noonan-Sweeney was shortlisted for the Ballon d'Or. And not only that, when Max Downham lifted the trophy, who was in 3rd place but David Noonan-Sweeney? That was, of course, in the November, but the rest of the season was just as impressive as the previous, because David Noonan-Sweeney had 6 goals and 9 assists, which isn't quite as good statistically as the year before, but this season, complete domestic dominance, because Bayern Munich also won the DFB Pokal as well as the Bundesliga. So we're getting close, and now we've got to spin the wheel once again. There's a lot of options. Maximum consistency would be the best one. What are we going to get? And indeed, it is that. Now, the final 2 aren't really going to help him too much. Taking him to 200 potential ability will obviously help him in some way, but giving him a loan deal, probably not. That was for earlier on in his career, should he really needed it. So let's add maximum consistency and go another 2 years. So yes, we crank up the consistency, and it was already at a 17, but now at a 20, it can be even better. And David Noonan-Sweeney, as a world-class midfielder, stands every chance of potentially lifting a Ballon d'Or trophy. The following season was a difficult one, because in the Ballon d'Or race, Corentin Real had won for Newcastle United, but 2nd and 3rd place of both Bayern Munich players, and none of them was Noonan-Sweeney. Instead, Robert Jones, a striker that was playing up front for Bayern Munich, managed to pick up the 2nd place, and Tim Lace, who was considered Bayern Munich's key player, picked up the 3rd place. And as you can see, they have an unbelievable team, but they're still not winning trophies. Somehow this season, Bayern Munich didn't win the Bundesliga. RB Leipzig picked up that trope instead, and Bayern Munich, unfortunately, didn't actually win any other competition that year. As you can see, no milestones won for any of their players, after obviously winning the DFB Pokal and the Bundesliga the previous year. Noonan-Sweeney was still enjoying a good run at Bayern Munich though. He had 29 games played. He actually got the most goals he's ever scored in a season with 13, and got 8 assists, with arguably the best season he's had, because the highest average rating was 7.55. But with his failure to lift any trophies in a Bayern Munich shirt this season, it might also hinder his chances of a Ballon d'Or nomination. That summer, Julian Nagelsmann returned to Bayern Munich to become their manager after the 2nd place finish, but he couldn't do any better either, and once again, Bayern Munich were runners-up by a lot of points this time round to RB Leipzig. Noonan-Sweeney was still at the forefront of Bayern Munich's midfield, 11 goals, 7 assists, 5 player of the matches, and a good average rating. but it was another season at Bayern Munich with no trophies whatsoever. And more importantly, no Ballon d'Or, with Lamine Yamal picking up another and not even one single Bayern Munich player in the top 3. Now, of course, it's not like I can even move him club until there's actually somebody who wants him, and he's worth far too much for anybody to even be interested. So this is kind of pointless unless we get the loan deal and we just pick, I don't know, somebody you can go on loan to. But it's not. It's going to be the highest potential possible in the game. We've got to put him up to 200. But with David Noonan-Sweeney already being 31 years old, how much is this kind of going to be a difficult period for us to really see any developments unless a weird move from Bayern Munich does happen? Have they got what it takes to actually potentially win a Champions League? Maybe give David Noonan-Sweeney an opportunity at a Ballon d'Or. Well, he certainly wasn't going to win it in this year. Paolo Bonato of Inter Milan, another 31-year-old, has picked that one up. He is a right midfielder, though, with the other two being Corentin Real, who we've seen quite often, and Narcis Mora, another Tottenham Hotspur player who looks unbelievable up front. Noonan-Sweeney, though, had his best season yet, because then he was put in Nagelsmann's system as the attacking midfielder. And to say this worked out would be an understatement, because at age 32, David Noonan-Sweeney scored 16 goals and got 14 assists in 32 appearances with a 7.63 average rating. Now, the Bayern Munich side only won the Bundesliga this season, which might hamper his chances of lifting the Ballon d'Or, not to mention that the top scorers was both Robert Jones and Tom Ward, of course, two strikers, and the highest average rating was Tim Lace. This team is so stacked, I just don't understand how they're not winning the Champions League. That, as you can see, has been quite a number of different clubs, including Manchester City, and of course Bayern Munich is down there, which is the season before David Noonan-Sweeney actually joined, which is even more frustrating. The following season, yet again, was another special year for David Noonan-Sweeney, as he put in very similar numbers to the season before and adding to his illustrious career. And although at age 33, we are starting to see a bit of a drop-off in terms of attributes, and he's down to 183 current ability, we are still seeing some unbelievable statistics with 16 goals, 13 assists, and even less games than last season, with a 7.82 average rating. Now, the milestones do suggest he's had a better year as well, because as we can see, he was also the DFB Pokal and the Bundesliga winner this year, and he actually won the German Players Player of the Year, as well as in the German Bundesliga Team of the Year. But once again, there were no Bayern Munich players in the Ballon d'Or race, as Corentin Real has claimed that reward again at Newcastle United with Narcis Mora and Bonato, which is the same three from last year, just in a different order. Now, the last spin of the wheel is obviously choosing a loan/transfer. I thought it was just loan, but I'm actually mistaken, and it is also transfer. I forgot I added that on in the other side of it, so we can actually move clubs. I wish we had that earlier now. We can actually move clubs with him, which is actually a blessing in disguise, because I think his time has kind of been wasted at Bayern Munich, should we say. So let's find a club for him. Okay, I found the club. I know who it's going to be. Arsenal. Now, hear me out. Oh, how much is he worth? Let's just say 50 million again. Now, hear me out. Arsenal have just won the Champions League. And if we're looking at the Champions League, they beat Real Betis in the final, which is kind of actually quite impressive from Real Betis. They've won it multiple times. Manchester City has also been there. Now, Arsenal is currently got Roberto De Zerbi as their manager, who they're not going to sack him right now because, of course, he's just won the Champions League. You heard me say that. They have an attacking midfielder, and this guy is not as good. 153. And I've checked. He's playing quite a lot of times in that attacking midfielder role. They don't necessarily have an out-and-out player for that position. If we're looking down the line, it might be this guy, who he's still not as good as Noonan-Sweeney. So I think we are in the perfect position here. He looks quite terrifying. We're in the perfect position here to put Noonan-Sweeney in, knowing that he can either play in the centre defensive midfield, where, again, they've got players who are good, but quite old, and I think Noonan-Sweeney will fit right in here. He's still got 183 current ability. He's still one of the world's best players. And the fact that he plays naturally in 3 positions and 2 of them is what Arsenal's playing, which means there's 3 places on the pitch for him. I think this is the best place for him to be. Now, in the Premier League, it is currently being won by Newcastle, but Arsenal won it last season. So we're not too far away from them actually winning it previously, and they've just won the Champions League. So let's just hope he can have a good season and one final push at that Ballon d'Or trophy. So if you've enjoyed this journey so far with David Noonan-Sweeney, make sure you are subscribed to see more videos just like this. Now, this season's Ballon d'Or winner was Narcis Mora of Real Madrid, but there was a Bayern Munich player in there from Tom Ward, who is the striker, of course, with the 3rd place going to Bayer Leverkusen's Alfred. Noonan-Sweeney, aged 34, ended the season at Arsenal, still looking absolutely fantastic, and at 178 current ability, Arsenal themselves finished top of the Premier League. Yes, he's got himself a Premier League trophy, 91 points as well, which is very impressive to say the least. But not only that, how did we do? We were the Champions League runners-up, which is absolutely heartbreaking, of course, losing to Bayern Munich. Yeah. Now, honestly, Football Manager is one of those games which it will always find a way, won't it? It will always find a way of screwing you over or making you just go, oh, of course it has. Of course it was Bayern Munich who beat Arsenal in the Champions League final. David Noonan-Sweeney did play in it. He got a 6.5, not very good at all considering he's got, 20 consistency. And the Bayern Munich team, who could never get to a Champions League final with David Noonan-Sweeney, all of a sudden, they play unbelievable in the... Look at that! There's only 2 players there who didn't finish with a 7 rating in the final. They battered Arsenal as well, let's be fair. So with the thought of that Champions League final in our minds, it's kind of curious as to see where the Ballon d'Or will go this season. Well, Arsenal fans are not going to be happy at all because despite winning the Premier League, Tottenham Hotspur have the 1st and 2nd place Ballon d'Or winner. I know they look absolutely unbelievable in terms of the players, but what's going on here? Well, a 2nd season in an Arsenal shirt, age 35 now, and we're still looking really good. We're still at 174 current ability for David Noonan-Sweeney. No signs of looking for retirement. However, he is unhappy about failing to win a domestic cup, which isn't great until you realise they've just won the Champions League. So I don't know why he's unhappy, but somehow David Noonan-Sweeney is annoyed with himself and he's unhappy despite lifting the Champions League trophy for the first time in his career. He also played quite well in the competition, not getting an assist or a goal, but still got a good average rating and a couple of key passes in the game. And it was a good job that they actually did win it, because they dropped down to 6th place in the Premier League, which is actually kind of impressive how you drop down so much, with Tottenham Hotspur, with those Ballon d'Or winners, lifting the trophy. And it was indeed still a long shot. Narcis Mora lifted his 2nd Ballon d'Or. His name's been there quite a lot, with the 2 Spurs players finishing 2nd and 3rd place. So David Noonan-Sweeney is still without a Ballon d'Or trophy. And he's actually not even in an Arsenal shirt anymore, because David Noonan-Sweeney decided to cash in and get £1.6 million wages per week at Al Hilal after a move for £36 million, which is quite impressive. Still getting 2 goals and 7 assists, age 36. But look at this. It's a AFC Champions League elite winners. He's won the Asian Champions League at age 36, the season after winning the Champions League and finishing in the runners-up position of the Euros. So I think he deserves one final look. Let's take a look. I've gone to November, so the latest Ballon d'Or winner has been announced, and it's Pablo Amor. It's a different Spurs player. They've won all 3. They've just won all 3 positions in the Ballon d'Or run. That's very impressive. But yeah, that was our last real chance for David Noonan-Sweeney to have a pop at the Ballon d'Or. And I do feel bad. I felt like there were certain seasons there we really could have potentially won a Ballon d'Or, but we never. I mean, that move to Bayern Munich kind of killed it. What's your opinions? I would love to have another crack at this. If you want to see me have another crack at this, where we take a player from non-league and we have a pop at the Ballon d'Or, what would you do different? Let me know down in the comment sections. I also want to have another pop at the goalkeeper one too. There's loads of different video ideas that I'd still like to do in this edition of Football Manager. And do you know, I love these type of videos. So if you do as well, please make sure you subscribe so you do not miss another one. It's so frustrating. If you haven't seen the one where I had a crack at the goalkeeper one, I'll pop it up on screen right now, as well as a video of me and Dad taking on the full Youth to Gold. This is the full 4 hours uncut version of Youth to Gold on screen right now.